I somehow unwittingly got involved in an airshow routine, not knowing that I was part of the airshow routine. So the way the story goes, this was back in the mid to late 80s, and the flight school that I was attending, the owner of that school was had previously flown airshow routines with Dwayne and Marion Cole. So needless to say, these two celebrities were in attendance at our activity date that day. Dwayne was famous for his inverted ribbon cut. He had his name painted upside down on his tailorcraft, and of course Marion had his super decathlon, was also a very famous airshow pilot. But what I didn't know is they had a routine together as brothers in which Marion would put on a double-billed Aggie hat and a pair of overalls with one side undone and would pretend to be drinking de-icing alcohol, getting drunk off of it, and wanting to go for an airplane ride. And when they started the routine, I was not even paying attention to what was going on. There were other activities going on. And I heard Dwayne, who was narrating the whole thing, began to call my name, saying, "Hey, I need you to take this guy for an airplane ride." And I was like, "What? We're in the middle of an air show, you know." And so I'm looking at him up on the podium. I'm like, "Really? Seriously? You want me to take this guy for a ride in the Cub?" And he's like, "Yeah, take him for a ride in the Cub. Take him out over the lake and drop him off, you know, kind of deal." So I was like, "All right." Well, as I get closer, then I realize it's Marion, and now I'm part of a skit. And unrehearsed, of course, at least on my behalf. We get in the Cub, the mechanic props it off, we taxi out, and Marion leans forward, taps me on the shoulder and says, "I got the aircraft now." I was like, "Okay, I'm just along for the ride at this point." So he begins up and down the runway, not actually flying, just spinning the airplane around up on one wheel and that type of stuff, and the tail in the air. And he says, "Now when I come to a stop, I'm going to spin it around to a stop, and I want you to roll out of the airplane like you fell out and just stay there." So as we went down the runway and he kind of ground looped this thing, so to speak, I went rolling out of the aircraft onto the ground, and off they go, or off he goes, I should say, in this airplane as a drunk Aggie, if you will, who doesn't know how to fly in a J3 Cub. This was before the pyrotechnics and stuff that they introduced later into the routine, some of the other airshow pilots that picked it up. But there was a line of trees, and he would often go down behind the line of trees, and you thought for sure he had crashed. And then he would just suddenly reappear, full tilt, power to idle, hanging out the side of the Cub, screaming, "Help me, help me, help me." And of course the crowd is laughing. It was absolutely hilarious. Had no idea that this was about to happen when I got wrapped up in it. But the nice thing is there are some photographs and videos of that whole event that I've cherished all this time.